So welcome back. After a long several week delay, it is finally time to finish wrapping up this space up here. More importantly, the wood capped railing tops here to complete this space. I could have left it as metal or did metal tops, but I really wanted to match this beautiful pine ceiling that we have with some pine caps. So as you can see, once I built the handrails, I just put a real thick piece of flat bar metal up top, and I have every so often drilled holes through so we can put a wood cap on top of this, come up underneath with a black screw, and we can mount it. Now you can see this flat metal right here is a little wavy, but I think once we put a solid piece of wood up top and attach to it, should pull everything in nice and flush to the wood. If not, I've already got something in mind to take care of that. Okay, so now that I have all my lumber ripped down to 3 by the factory 1.5, it's time to plane it down just a little. This lumber is filthy from the factory. It's just got marks all in it, saw marks. It's very rough to the touch. It won't polycoat good, and it's just got a lot of blemishes in it too. So what this thickness planer will allow me to do is to adjust a rotating cutting blade up and down to take the thickness off of this piece of lumber. Y'all taught me into getting this over a year ago. I've never needed one or thought that I needed one in my life until I got one in, and holy smokes, I use this thing all the time. I love it. Plus, I just don't like the thickness of this lumber. It feels just a little too thick in the hands, which we're gonna work on it some more. So let's take down probably, I'm gonna start with at least 1/4 inch. So we'll take about 1/8 of an inch off of each side, get it nice and smooth, and see how that feels. All right, so let's check this out. We've taken just over 1/8 of an inch off with a few passes. And now you can see all the black marks, rough marks are gone. There's still some. We'll do some final hand sanding to get all that cleared out. All right, so I've decided to purchase and try one of these DeWalt right angle attachments here because I have such a tight area to go in. It's even tighter than what my right angle drill can fit in. I've used similar things to this in the past. Let's hope this one holds up better than the other brands I've tried. So far, so good. right, so I'm gonna take my router and this 3/8 round over bit, and I wanna round over the edges of all these pieces, because right now it does not feel good to the hand to grab a hold of sharp edges. All right, as you can see, we're left with a nice round over. I got to do a little bit of hand sanding here. That feels so much better in the hands. All right, so I'm going to spray these pieces with a polyurethane, a satin polyurethane at that. That's what I have found just by far looks the best. Gloss and semi-gloss tends to just show way too many blemishes and other things, and satin actually goes on quite clear. I've got to be careful. I don't have much. We got so cold here the last week with that record-breaking cold that my big tub of polyurethane, well, it looks like it pretty much just froze up on me. You see, I'm also spraying my loft door right here. I had some runs in it the last time I sprayed and made that episode. I talked about that. I just spent a while sanding it down. We're gonna coat it again, assuming I have enough poly. And as usual, always windy as can be anytime I go to spray. I tell you what, working with a long piece of wood like this, especially 2x material, it has twisted and warped and bowed and done everything that it wants to do. Even though it was perfectly straight piece whenever I picked it out at the lumber yard, I dug through the stack, making sure it was a good piece. So I'm literally having to clamp and work these pieces into shape just from all the bowing and twisting. And I'm having to be very, very careful. I even got a small blemish from the clamp right there, even though I'm putting a towel down. Something you need to know about polycoat is it doesn't truly harden until about 7 to 10 days after you apply it. In a couple of hours, it'll be to where you can handle it, not even really tacky anymore, but it's still very soft. So I'm not even gonna be able to do my final clamping and tightening of all the screws and working pieces into shape until about another week. Also, if you have any runs or blemishes, I do on a couple of pieces, you really don't need to sand those blemishes out of the polycoat until about 7 days as well, because this stuff is still relatively soft. If you try to sand it right now, it gums up and it makes a mess. But if you'll wait a week or so, it becomes so hard that it sands nice and smooth. And then whenever you reapply your new layer of polycoat, it just turns it from that haze from sanding that looks bad, makes it instantly clear and see-through. It's actually a pretty cool process. So if you wind up doing something like this with polycoat and have blemishes or anything, just go ahead, either install your pieces or set them aside for a week, then do your sanding, final touch up. Luckily, the two pieces that's got a little bit of runs are these two I'm about to put in right here. 3 screws, I can pop them out. Do a little sanding on a sunny day, and I can pop them back in that afternoon. They'll be good to go. I tell you what, without a doubt, these handrails and these wood pieces have been some of the most complicated parts of building this entire house, believe it or not. So my hat goes off to the people that do wood trim for a living, because getting all these pieces to perfectly fit and finish is an art form, especially with bows and twists and things that happen. And while trim carpenters are already just awesome in their own right, people who do wood trim are on a whole nother level, because, well, every piece has to fit perfect. There's no caulk that you can put in there. There's no paint to hide all the blemishes. And I still got a lot to learn. Several of these pieces are not quite fitting together as well as I'd like. Plus, I'm gonna have to wait to clamp and pull like this piece in, for example, right here, in about another week or so, and hope that I can tighten it down all the way. Otherwise, I may have to do some additional sanding and quick poly coat again to get everything to fit together correctly. So what I didn't record much of was me pre-fitting all these pieces in a day or so ago. And I actually did some minor sanding here in the house. I don't like doing that, but pre-fitting all my pieces, sanding down and getting a good fit was kind of critical, and you almost have to do that indoors. This little DeWalt right angle attachment's been quite handy, holding up well thus far. All right, so here we are with the stairs being 100% complete. Keep in mind the way the light's hitting the wood makes the color look a little off, plus this pine yellows very quickly. Starts out around this color. This is only a few weeks old, and then if you look at the ceiling, it ultimately winds up this beautiful dark and rich color. That's where this is heading. So they're just under 3 inches wide, nice rounded over edges, good hand grip. I definitely wouldn't go any wider than that. All right, you come up to the top, and I'm not the world's happiest with some of the gaps, but it is what it is. I am no professional woodworker here by no means. So here's a look over here. I still have some gaps to tighten up, but I can't clamp the boards right now because the polycoat's not hard. And if I try to clamp it, which I've already done, it's putting some blemishes in the polycoat. So I have to wait about a week to clamp some of that twisted wood down and finish bolting some gaps together. And here's this one. And I went ahead and finished off the trim today, so now the loft is officially complete. All right, so that wraps up a very long and very much involved project. Like I said, this was probably the most involved project of the entire house build. Just intricate angles, the way things shrink, expand, contract, so much to work with here. But it was a fun project nonetheless. I love building things like this, and hopefully y'all enjoyed watching this. So what this means now is, well, the house is technically officially done, although a house is never done. I still have a bunch of touch-up paint to do, odd things, and then we still have major outdoor projects. But as far as the livability of the house, we have full access to everything now. We're trimmed out. It's complete in that aspect. So coming up, the full house cost and breakdown video that I've been promising everybody forever. I'm still getting a ton of people asking for that. I'm gonna work on that over the next week. Bear with me. I literally have thousands upon thousands of items to add up, tons of light items and breakdown of cost and things to do. And then we'll do a full final tour and price breakdown release video, because I know a lot of y'all are looking to build your own home and there's just not many resources out there. You don't have a clue. How much does sheetrock cost? How much should I expect for a slab? Things such as that. And while our home won't be exactly like yours, at least it'll give you a general idea on how to budget and start preparing for these things. And then you can make adjustments based on your build. Also, what this means is now my office is officially done. I have a space I can come up here and start working, and I have something very big planned for this space as far as, well, the future of our YouTube. So I'll share that here coming up before long. But what that also means is I'm going to build, well, a platform for the bed here. So we have some furniture build coming up. After a couple of major projects are knocked out outside, I'm gonna come back in and build my own office furniture, desk. That means we have internet wiring, more electrical, yay, everybody loves that, coming up before long as well. So still a ton more stuff to do inside. Hopefully you enjoyed the stair build. This completes it. We'll catch you on the next video.